Hi, everybody. Hi, how are you? Welcome to this class in December, almost ending the semester. So we are having already live streaming or maybe working on that one? We don't know. Yes, we have? Okay. I'm gonna give some seconds for everybody to find the new live stream. Hi, Internet, how are you? Nice to see you. I'm coming out of a cold, so I have my throat a little bit healing, so I'm gonna do my best to keep my voice the whole class. And if not, somebody else will jump in and take over. I wanted to say that some people is not here today with us. Remember, Ondra is having a trip for his research, so he has been several weeks researching and working abroad, so that's why he's online. Lucas also cannot be with us today, and Mari cannot be here today because today she defended her PhD. So today she became a doctor and she's celebrating there. Congratulations, Mari, wherever you are, congratulations. You can say congratulations later. So today we have manual and automatic detection of command and control channels, December the 4th, 2025, the one where we automate all the things. Let me make this bigger for you. There you go. And you have all the credits as always and the links as always. I'm not sure if the live stream is linked there. Perfect. So the live stream is linked there if you need to reach it from the internet. So before starting from the results of the survey, how are you people? I want to ask you. Everyone good? No? Yes? Yes? Are you in the Christmas spirit? No? Did you hear about the Christmas spirit? Christmas spirit, you know? Receiving gifts, giving gifts, drinking, partying. No? In a couple of days, we have here Saint Nicholas, no? Also demons, no? Angels, not your thing, maybe. You're too busy studying, right? For the exams coming and the next semester. Okay. We are getting into the Christmas mood very, very, very fast. So, results from the survey of the last class. Almost 40% of people voting think it was too fast. That was actually a very good feedback because if you remember, we were doing an effort to slow down last class. It was a kind of complex class, if you remember, a lot of things moving and IRC servers and channels, and it's extremely hard to do this practically correctly for everybody, especially when you're on the internet and you're using SCL. So it was a good feedback to know it was still too fast and not completely easy to do for everybody. But, oh, Lucas is there. Oh, I lied to you. He's here today. So today we are going to again try to make this more clear and a little bit more reaching everybody. Of course, we cannot make everybody online and in the class have the perfect space. If somebody is too slow, somebody is too fast. But we can try to improve our teaching as much as we can. So, Pioneer Prize assignment for assignment number 8. You want to say something about the assignment?
Yes, quickly. It was nice assignment, nice work by a lot of you who did it on the time. I want to apologize. We had a small issue with it on the day when we released, which many of you noticed actually, but only like 1 or 2 of you actually wrote to us about the issue that we have. So, please, if you notice something that you think is wrong, don't hesitate to tell us. We try for those things not to happen, but sometimes we miss something. So, in order to not to waste your time, it's good for you. But yeah, still thank you and congratulations to everyone that did it. It wasn't an easy assignment, so nice work.
Well done. It was not easy at all. And of course, you never know if it's really a mistake or if we did it on purpose. Sometimes we don't know. But yeah, there was a very small thing there. Thank you for noticing. So, but we have Pioneer prizes. The third place, this beautiful Arduino LilyPad, so you can program your own clothes. and it's the third place, and it's gonna go to David Cereda 1. David, well done, well done. He already has a collection of these ones. I know there is a black market already, some sites selling them. So the second place, that is this beautiful RFID reader programmer. You can control this with a computer and read tags, maybe steal tags from your friends. Goes to Max Holmax. Well done. Giving Max a reader of RFC cards, I'm not sure it was the best idea, but well done. And the first place, the P. Moroni Tiny 2350 full programmable Raspberry Pi base one that Maurice is putting there, goes to Andrzej Vasatontrzy. Well done. Gratulujemy. Sorry if I'm trying to recover my throat. So, some parish notices. First, we have confirmation of the dates of the exams. Remember, if you CTU students participate in the unlocking of the bonus, you have the right to take the bonus during the holidays. If you approve the bonus, no need to take an exam. If you need to take the exam, those are the dates. You need to register in COS, in the website COS, okay? So please, you need to choose one of those and you can register. You can register before knowing if you are coming or not, it's fine. We are gonna try to tell you the results of the bonus before the exam, of course, so you have time to register. But usually they can register before knowing, right? There are limited spaces because of the rooms. They don't allow us, I think it's 30 students per exam, or 40, so because of regulations. So you are told, okay? Questions?
Yeah, one more thing. It's really not a good idea to just sign up for the last exam. So if you didn't approve the bonus or you didn't do the bonus and you don't come up to the first exam or the second or the third and then you come to the fourth, that is super, super bad. Don't do it. So at least the exam is super hard and it's time limited. So please try to go at least to one before, even if you don't pass, just to get an idea of how it is. It's really bad idea, again, to just come to the last date, okay?
And the reason is because if you fail the last one, no more opportunities, right? So the exam is the same complexity as the bonus, but in the exam, you only have 2 hours to do that. So the pressure in the exam is time. You need to be extremely sharp to do all of that in 2 hours. So register there, come as many times as you need. The cost is the university website where you can see your registration and exams are going to appear there. But you tell us and we will check this for you, okay? So, regarding the bonus assignment, it will open for all of you on December 19th at 9. Yes, for the people who unlocked it. If you didn't unlock the bonus, you cannot take it, remember. The deadline for submitting the bonus is January the 7th at 23:59:59. In case you don't remember, the bonus is kind of a CTF that you log into your Dockers and you have to solve many, many challenges. Well, not many, but some challenges. But you have all the time you need. You are at home drinking your Svarsak or something, and then playing and hacking and getting in and getting out. And it's much more relaxed, and you can like find online, ChatGPT, learn from books, whatever you need. We encourage you to take it because then you have less exams and you have time to be relaxed. The purpose of the bonus, I can tell you a little bit behind the scenes. It's because we don't like the exams that are surprise exams. We don't believe in this type of exams. I personally don't believe in exams in general, but We don't believe in this type of surprise exams. That's why we give you a lot of time, and we know that given no pressure, not being nervous, and being at home, and learning as much as you want, we'll teach you much more. So that's why the bonus is there. This year, because we did for the first time, the unlocking of the bonus with a report, what this means is that the moment you send the report submission, the final bonus report submission are final. You cannot edit anymore. In previous years, we give you feedback because reports were very, very hard to read, and then you have an opportunity to fix. This year, you don't. So the moment you send the final report for the bonus, that's it. All the feedback was given in the unlock report, okay? So take that feedback seriously, okay? We are not gonna repeat our corrections. Yes, final is final.
I can also say that we are still reviewing some of the unlock reports, but one specific case that I didn't yet highlighted is that sometimes it happens when we give you feedback, you think the feedback is stupid. And this is important to discuss because it's like, oh, you didn't put the assignment name on the title of the Google document. But the bonus report is going to be long, okay? Sometimes it's like 50 pages. And it's the clarity is on the details. So if you don't use headlines, if you don't put what you're solving, or what are the task description is, or small things like this, they are adding up. And it's very easy to start losing points. So you have like a maximum points that you can get, but every time that you make a huge mistake, we are deducing. So it's not that easy as just I solve it, CTFD is unlocked, and that's it, I get the full points. It's all the evaluation on your report, okay? So it's like really think why we don't want to make your life difficult. It's just that you need to take it with like, okay, how do I do this better? Yeah?
Thank you very much. So, also, as it's going to take time, please, online students, mock students, start the class 11 of your SCL because it's going to take a couple of moments. And also, do you want to present the idea now in the Parish notices? In the break. Okay. So we have something for you in the break. So today we are going to go, if you remember everything we have been doing so far, now we are moving in, how can we detect this malware traffic, command and controls? How can we take this information from the network and analyze first by hand, and then we are going to move into automation, and finally some machine learning, AI, and things like that. We are going to go deep in this one, okay? So get ready and at the end, we are going to be using SLIP's intrusion detection system that is a machine learning-based system for you to try, okay? So the first part, manual detection of command and control channels in the network. And our goal is to learn how to detect these command and controls in the network manually. Do you remember what was a command and control? Last class we were talking about this. Who can tell us what was, still is, a command and control?
Automated way of controlling several malwares at once and what they do and how
yes, ways of controlling, and what else? We were the characteristics of the command and control channels.
That you could, well, at the beginning, the first one, I'm sorry, I forgot the name for it. It was kind of simple, so you could only put all the commands to all the channels, but later on you could select, like, I want to do this, but do something else than this one. And
yes, and also you need, when you control all these bots together, you need all of them to go back to you frequently, so you have like a way to control them that is kind of real-time-ish, right? In the case we saw of ARC, is real-time. You chat and it's back. In others, you can program the bot to contact you once every 5 minutes, right? So you have a frequency, and this periodicity is shown in the traffic. one of the things we are going to be using today to detect is actually this periodicity and behavior in the network traffic. Sometimes to detect, you see properties of the packets, and if this is hiding information, sometimes you just use the behavior, okay? So it's very important because sometimes you need confirmation that there is a malware in your network. If you can imagine analyzing a big network with hundreds of computers, you don't know exactly what's going on. One way to check and confirm that you have malware is because you can find the command and control channels happening. The malware is not all the time attacking. So not always you have the opportunity to see the attack in real life. Sometimes yes, sometimes not. But the command and control should be there all the time and has a periodicity and a frequency. So if you wait 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, half an hour, you should see some of this command and control. That's a confirmation. Also, you will see if the malware is autonomous, or manually controlled. And this is a huge difference. Automation actually is a little bit better because you are after traditional botnets, let's say. If this is manually controlled, like a rat, remember the rat we were analyzing? Well, then that's harder. You have a human giving decisions specifically for you. That's a target attack, and you are at much risk in there. Determining whether the malware was successful or not. So this computer is infected because the antivirus says you have this malware. But is it working? We don't know. One way to confirm is you see the command and control channel. And also can be that the malware is dormant. So you're infected, it's working, but it's waiting. When this waiting ends and what happened, this is something you can see in the network, okay? So this is hard because malware tries to hide. So this command and control usually looks like benign traffic. Remember last class. So let's jump straight forward into a capture that we can analyze together. So please, online people and you, download this pickup from Mega or from Google Drive in your host computers, class 11 capture 1. I will give you some time here and open it with Wireshark. I will also download with you. I'm going to make this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And while you are downloading it, I'm going to make my system look like yours. So I'm going to make the time column, something like that. And I have the source IP. I have the source port. So remember that you should have the same columns we used last time, okay? So source port, destination port should be there. Protocol should be there. Length should be there. We also have the host column, remember that, and also the info column. Okay, everybody? Internet? We good? Internet is fine? Perfect. So, if you open this capture, you will see something like that. Check that you see very similar things, right? You see something like that. And the idea here is that this capture, we don't know what's inside. There are many things inside. So as an analyst, you are now tasked with finding if there is something malicious or suspicious in this capture, and if there is something there, what is it? Remember, we did a very small similar exercise, the first class, the second class, I think, we're analyzing with Pickup and Wireshark. This is similar, but deeper into real malware traffic, okay? So, if you go to the menu statistic capture file properties, so menu statistics capture file properties, you will see that this capture has 1,174 packets, okay? So it's not a big capture. It's maybe a lot for manual analysis, but this is not a big capture. Remember that large captures can be 100 gigabytes per day, sometimes more, okay? So we are going to start with a small one. The methodology we are going to be using for this is a methodology that is referred as clean, rinse, and repeat. So the methodology means that we are going to be analyzing these packets, try to identify what we can, and the moment you identify something, you mark it, take a note, and then you take it out completely, and then you repeat. Find something that you can explain, good or bad, you take a note, you take it out, and you repeat, and you repeat, and you repeat. Ideally, you end up with no packets that you don't know how to explain, okay? Ideally, there should not be a packet there that you don't know what's doing. So, to make sure we review everything, we are going to follow this methodology, identify the first connection, analyze if it's good or not, filter out, and repeat, okay? So we are going to be using Wireshark streams for this. What is Wireshark streams? Anybody knows? Wireshark streams? A Wireshark stream, remember that if you do in any TCP or UDP connection follow TCP stream, this TCP stream is doing two things. First is showing you the content here. Let me try to make this so large for you. How was it? This was this, was this? No? Okay. I was sure I could make this larger. Oh, there. So you have some content here, right? But also, when you close this window, you have a selected amount of packets, right? Those packets that are now selected are selected because this stream you pick up has a number, stream 0. So streams are like connections, right? Similar to connections. So we are going to be using these streams numbers to separate the connections in the capture. A lot of packets belong to a connection, okay? So going back to the document, this allows for easy identification, very clear to share with other analysts, right? And now, to see this more clearly, let's add a new column where this new column is showing you the TCP stream or UDP stream property. I will give you 1 minute to do this. You should remember from the last time. If not, you have there the instructions. Go to your Wireshark, add a new column that has the TCP stream or UDP stream. Okay, so if you did it, you should have now a column. I put it next to my host column. You can put wherever you want. And this host column, right-click, column preferences, adding a column, custom type, and the custom type is TCP stream or UDP stream, right? And then you have here a column name. This is very easy to identify when your packets actually change stream, right? So let me go to the full capture. And then at some moment in time, you will see that there are different stream numbers, see? Because packets are mixed and belonging to different streams. So now that we have this column, let's go step-by-step analysis. first, let's go to TCP stream 0. So you can take this display filter, put it in the display filter in Wireshark, and just press enter. Something else I'm going to do is I'm going to change my column time. I'm going to change my column time to the time when I have seconds since the previously displayed packet. We did this also last time. Instead of the date and time of the year, I'm going to pick the seconds since the previous display packet. So that is view time display format. So now I have much better numbers to work with and much smaller too. So it's easier for me. And what I care about is actually this difference between the packets, okay? So we are analyzing this connection. Anybody wants to tell us what is this connection about? What do you see there? I will give you some seconds. Take a look at the packets. Remember, our goal all the time is this a benign, normal stream, or it's malicious, or it's suspicious, or we don't know, right? Do you have enough information to say if this is good or bad? And you didn't claim your candy before. So, anybody wants to tell us? What do you think about this one? First, what about these red things that appear in Wireshark? Are they good? Are they bad? All these red things usually are issues related to the networking that Wireshark is telling you, like the previous segment was not captured, or this is duplicate, or this is out of order, but these are not security alerts. These are like things that happen in the network because the network is a network. Sometimes they're more important, sometimes they're less. So the red things here are identifying network properties, not security ones, right? So what can you tell me? This is a connection to which port? HTTP, and which port? 80. And is HTTP, how do you know?
Basically, because I saw the port of 80, and also there is a packet which gets like get that.
This one here. So, yes, sorry, I can paraphrase. Because there was a packet, so he was looking at a packet that has a get in there and looks like an HTTP structure. And actually here, Wireshark is telling you this is HTTP, right? By the way, do you realize why some packets say TCP and some packets say HTTP when they belong to the same stream? It's HTTP or it's not HTTP?
A single HTTP, well, communication, or like one packet of HTTP is composed by from multiple TCP packets. So Wireshark composes all of the TCP packets together in the stream, and then detects the HTTP communication within that. So I think it should also show you like which packets of TCP are in that HTTP line.
Which line?
Yeah, I think if you like hover over the HTTP, it will also show you like which TCP packets it's composed of.
No, yeah, this one is only one packet, right? So it has one TCP packet, and this TCP packet inside goes to the HTTP layer. But all of these ones are related, right? So if I follow the TCP stream or HTTP stream, they belong to this, right? All of these together. But why this packet doesn't say HTTP, or this one, or this one? And then later, we have others, well, here, right? And the answer is that it depends on the layers of the protocol. In here, the protocol goes to IP, TCP, and then on top of TCP, you have some HTTP that is recognizable. But in here, you just go to the TCP level, right? See, this packet does not have an HTTP header. So they belong together because it's one stream, but only some packets go to the HTTP layer. The other ones are managing the TCP layer, okay? That's why not all of them say HTTP. But the connection is sending HTTP data. So it's starting, no problem, closing the connection, and then it's doing a get of /ntpd in a protocol HTTP 1.1. So what about this one, good or bad? What do you say? Are you infected? You are okay? Should you delete your computer right now? You can take a break. No information.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Anyone else? So let's follow the stream. And once you follow the stream, I will try to make this, there you go. Now you have the headers. So what about that header there? Let's do a fast analysis. Internet, tell us if you think this is benign or malicious. So first, there should be something here calling your attention like that. Something extremely suspicious or weird. The very big thing.
Yeah, so like at the very end, it starts with ELF, which is
At the very
header
end,
of a
start with
binary.
ELF. That's something calling your attention. But bigger than this, there is something that is the very, very big thing. The keep alive. The keep alive maybe, but bigger than the keep alive. Okay, I will tell you, you can read this. It's not encrypted, people. This should not be happening anymore. Like, all your traffic in your computer right now should be 99.9% encrypted, except Microsoft updates that are not encrypted. I'm not joking. But apart from that, this should be encrypted. The fact that you see a connection that is not encrypted, that is already calling your mind. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That some browsers actually don't do that anymore. So who is doing that, right? And then you have get, that's fine, asking for some file, NTPD. The protocol is also old, HTTP 1.1. This is from the 80s, remember? It's not bad. Then you have the program asking for this, wget. You use wget. Wget is a command line. Is it suspicious or malicious? No, of course not. Is it your average internet user browsing Facebook? It's not. So we are in a, okay, maybe some program, maybe some administrator, maybe some people that they know what they're doing. I'm not going to say suspicious, but I will have my eyes open. Then you have the host, also another suspicious thing. There is no domain. There is no host name. There is no www.google.com. It's accessing directly an IP address. Also, that is very suspicious. How are you doing this? Are you, when you go to the internet, putting an IP address of Facebook, enter? No, you put facebook.com. So now we have a command line program that is accessing an IP without a domain, non-encrypted. All of this is starting to be more and more suspicious, right? Then the connection is okay, you have the date, the server is Apache something, last modify, some e-tag, the accepted range, and then the content, and the type is text plain. The type it should be coming back is text. Does it look like text for you? It does not. Like Max said, there is an ELF there. What is a file that starts with a magic header of ELF? Linux binary program, executable Linux files. So that is an executable Linux file that should have been a text one. If you look at this, I would say this is too suspicious. Right now, something is going on. Or there is a program downloading an ELF binary that should not. Maybe some weird updates, using wget, that's also bad, or you are infected. There are few situations that you should see this normally in a network, okay? Was it clear? Yes? No? Questions? So, what you can do is also export the objects. So if you go to, I will do it from File, Export Objects, and then you have many protocols, including HTTP. File, export objects, HTTP. If you do that, you will see all the objects in this capture, including the first one, and now you are able to save them. So when you save, you take this and you store in your computer, and then you can upload to VirusTotal or do anything. So you can save from here. In this case, be careful when you save, because don't execute that, okay? Just be careful. So that's one way of saving the information. Now that we know what's going on, we are going to delete this stream. So we are going to put in Wireshark the not stream 0. And now we go back to the beginning and say, we know what was stream 0. It was actually downloading some Linux ELF binary, and we move to binus stream, a different one, okay? So something we are not doing here, but you should do if you are doing, for example, a report, is write down stream number 0, was this, was that, okay? So let's go to stream number 1. I will give you some minutes, take a look, and tell me, good or bad? So, what do you say? There are a few packets, right? Anyone? Good or bad? Normal. I was just going to say that for this question, I have a new addition for the 3D printing Christmas decorations done by Veronica Domazzi, done at home. She was printing some of these beautiful Christmas trees in colors. So, going back to the question, what is for you normal? Why? Completely correct. Like the first packet is a real packet, let's call, and the other ones are retransmissions. This is not the program. When you, as a program, your browser, a malware, anybody, is sending a packet, and the packet is not acknowledged, and you see a retransmission, this is not your program sending again. This is the operating system doing the retransmission. It's not on your control. The program maybe already died. So this is not the behavior of whatever this is, good or bad. And if you look at the content also, there is no content, right? After the TCP, there is no more content. So this is an empty packet trying to go to an IP address. Is the packet part of something malicious? Maybe, because now we have, again, a connection to an IP directly, nothing before, no DNS. So I would say check that one, right? But this is my suspicion. Nothing here supporting that. All the packets there is normal, okay? Are you ready for the Christmas tree? 1, 2, 3. We can do this. Hey, look at that. So let's move forward. Now we are going to say, do not show me all the streams lower than 2. Okay, let's speed up a little bit. Internet, are you coming okay? No questions from the internet? Let's move into UDP stream 0. Similar as before, but we are going to go to UDP stream 0. So what about this one? Good or bad? You can also go and explore the protocols in here, right? Maybe much easier. So, come on. Huh? IPv4 query for DNS using UDP, going to, what is 192.168.1.1? Who is asking? The local router, that probably is your local DNS server too, right? There you go. Hecha! Sorry. And it's actually asking a query of org ntp pool debian 0. So it's asking for the IPv4 address of the NTP network time protocol server of Debian. Completely normal, so we can move forward. See, you can see here, OS is an Debian, completely good behavior. Now, to filter this out, we can combine the stream TCP lower than 2 and UDP stream is lower than 1, and not the DNS query contains NTP.org, because there are going to be other requests of NTP.org. NTP.org is fine, we don't care. This is a normal connection, so do not show me all the DNS requests of NTP.org, okay? So if you put that one, now we have other packets to see, okay? Now, let's identify the ARP. There are no streams or ARP like these ones. So what about these ones? ARP, good or bad? Can ARP be bad? Malicious? Yes, no. Come on, come on, come on. I know, yes, yes. We saw it some classes ago, right? ARP poisoning. So ARP can be bad. What about this one? Good or bad? Come on, get into the hacker mindset. Feel the packets. So these ones, if you look at the description, has who has 196 is telling the router. And then the router says, yeah, I'm here, this is my MAC address. And again, and again, and again. This looks like traditional requesting of MAC addresses for the router and you answering. Nothing in this ARP is telling me that there is an ARP poisoning, there are no repetitions or nothing like that. So regarding the ARP packets, we can filter them out because looking at them, we see that there are no clear attacks defined. So we are going to add to our filter and not ARP, okay? Now the next one, it's the UDP stream number 1. That is the first one you see here, stream number 1. So what about this first packet? Good or bad? Remember, we are looking for maliciousness, for malware. We already have some confirmation that some streams were belonging to a malware. So what about these ones? Good or bad? Good or bad? Come on, talk to me. I know you know. Play something. Feedback me.
I guess normal, because we can see on the second line that the source is the Raspberry in the left window. We can see the source is the Raspberry Pi.
This one?
Yeah, both of them, like all of these. We can see it in the lower corner.
Oh, sorry, here. Yes, this one.
The source is Raspberry Pi, and the destination is also the.
So, go. And completely forget to read you, but yes, you were saying that the IP address was Raspberry Pi, and when communicating with each other, there you go. And something more?
I guess not, only like the two machines are communicating with each other and nothing suspicious seems. It's just like normal protocol between the two machines.
Completely correct. There you go. So these are packets of a computer, in this case a Raspberry Pi, so you know that is maybe local computer, but if you remember NTP, Network Time Protocol, you need a lot of servers to keep your time working perfectly. Usually you need 3 or 4 to actually have accuracy, but it's not a bad idea to have many more. In the case of Debian in particular and Linux computers, they can have 20. So they can go down, they can rotate. All of these ones are requests, if you see, server, client, server, asking, and you can even see what is asking, right? The time reference and all the references in here. So all of these ones are nothing malicious. If you see 20,000 NTP packets in a second, I will tell you maybe it's a DOS attack. These are 20 packets, completely normal and benign, okay? So we can forget also this type of connections. So we are going to be adding at the end and not NTP, okay? I will just copy everything so I'm not forgetting. So going back, now we have other ones. The next one is the TCP number 2. So I will let you analyze the stream number 2. I will give you a couple of minutes. TCP stream number 2. What do you think? It is fine? You're searching for malware, threat hunting. If you're lucky, you can even get a job analyzing malware traffic. Beautiful job. Imagine the whole day looking at network packets. Would be like Christmas. So, what do you say, people? Oh, yeah, there. Cube him. Oh, can you? Oh, there you go.
There is again the same problem like in the stream 0. There is HTTP, which is not, is in plain text. So if we go, yeah. And it's probably, it seems really similar.
Very similar, right?
Yeah.
Almost exactly the same. Is it the same? Well, we don't know, but there are ways to see. If you download the first binary, then you can download the second binary, and then you can compare. So this is SSHD. So imagine you go here, you go to objects, and then export HTTP, and you can save all of them, or you can choose MTP and this one. Actually, they have the same size, right? See? So imagine you do NTP and SSHD, and then you can do just a hash, SHA, Zoom 256 or MD5, whatever, and then you can compare if they are exactly the same binaries. And that would be very nice confirmation, okay? And if you don't want to share, imagine you find a new malware and you don't want to share this new malware with VirusTotal because they're gonna sell them. So what you can do is that just have the hash and search for the hash. If they have it, then you will see the information. If they don't have anything, right? So that's correct. The second one is also malicious one, like very clearly something for you. Notice that I'm not checking the binary. So it may be that the binary is actually not malicious or malware. It might be that the binary is a configuration file or can even be a benign file. That does not make this communication normal or benign, okay? So let's do the TCP number 3. Let me hear you. TCP stream 3. We went through this one, right? Do we agree? Benign. Perfect. The 3 is benign. What about the 4th? You know the drill. You can do this. Similar as before, right? Just for confirmation, I'm going to follow it, see if there are anything weird. Very similar characteristics. There is an elf there. Actually, if you scroll down, you will see the strings, right? So here you will see if there are any weird things. I expect to see libraries. It's not a big one. Actually, it's quite small. But you see some strings there. Oh, look at that one. Beautiful, right? A lot of libraries too, because it's a binary, like error this, quota exceeded. This is because it's importing libraries. So we have the number 4 that we know it's malicious. Then we have number 5, stream number 5, very similar one. I will let you 30 seconds to see if there is any difference. And the answer is that it's a very similar methodology. Do you see how this is actually good? Because you're confirming that there is kind of, you know, like modus operandi, let's say, that similar programs, wget, similar versions, downloading, maybe from the same IPs, we are going to check that, downloading very similar binaries. This is consistent with an infection. This is not somebody downloaded by hand, right? And also, the name of the file is very suspicious. What, are you downloading the binary of the bash? Who is doing that? Nobody's downloading the binary of the bash interpreter. So this is very suspicious. Also, this one is much larger. So it's 88K, right? So that is a much larger binary to see. So also this one is malicious, right? And then we can move into the TC script number 6. Also notice two things. The first one is that the fact that you identify one connection as malicious, it doesn't mean that you stop the analysis, because you never know what's going to happen later. Sometimes the malware is using decoy attacks, like fake attacks. So you believe something is going on when something else is going on. So until you cannot explain the whole capture, you're not completely sure, right? So what about this one? TCP stream number 6. Very similar again. Same program, another file, much larger content, 117. So do you care to say why this program, we don't know, but very suspicious or maybe malicious connections, is downloading so many binaries? Who wants to give us a theory? I have another Christmas tree. Beautiful. Christmas ornament. I'm sorry. It's a tree on your tree. Or earring. Uh-huh. Yes. Wait, what is the cube?
Well, perhaps the attacker or potential attacker is trying to get the binaries to get the tools he need. I mean, we saw downloading bash. Here it's some sort of TFTP. And so, like, upon taking control of perhaps through some binaries, Stack Overflow, whatever, something, he's trying to get the binaries to more comfortably, like, control the infected PC or something.
So, do you agree with him or not? Yes? Somebody disagrees? No? And this is completely true, people. Like, malware will never download all the things at once. Can you imagine that? I need like 100 megabytes. And also, if the malware is downloading every tool, it's going to be detected. This is bad, people. You don't want this. So one of the first things that malware does is downloading what is called a loader. A loader is a program very small. I'm talking dozens of instructions, very small, which only purpose is to go to a specific place, maybe the command and control, and download the second stage of the malware. In the second stage, you can be a little bit more malicious, but if the second stage fails because the antivirus is detecting it, because the IP is dead, because the port is closed, the loader is still there, and you can load other things. So it's kind of a foothold, and then you slowly download one thing. And also, because of modules, malware have a lot of modularity. Remember I was telling you that a lot of bonnets are being rented. So the renting is that I have a loader, and you can go to the underground market and see this. People saying, I want to buy, I don't know, 10,000 drops for $1,000. Drops are computers where I can drop my malware. So I have in my custody, I don't know, 100,000 computers in the world, and I'm renting them. So how many drops you want? 2,000 drops. Okay, for you, $10. It's not your computers. You just use my computers to load your malware and spread. And then I will rent to somebody else. So all these binaries are ups and down the whole time, okay? There is a lot of market behind the scenes. So we don't know, but this can be happening in here. So this is number 6. What about TCP stream number 7? TCP is number 7. same as before. What is the difference right now? What is the difference between the other packets with retransmissions? I will let you some time to see. Number 7, okay? So, come on, I know you can. I know. Oh, oh, sorry. I was giving you the Christmas tree and I forgot. You're not claiming it. If you don't want, just tell me. Are you ready? Hey, there you go. I don't want to force gifts on you. So, come on. Let's move forward. What is different? Look, it's in front of you. And this is very important also for the bonus and the exam. Half the answers we give to questions is, look, it's literally in front of you. This is half the answers we give. Because sometimes the answer is in front of you. You just need to look closely. What's the difference? It's empty. You mean this first packet? You mean empty, what is, like after TCP? Yeah, there is no, that's what you mean? Yeah, there is no application protocol, but the previous one also didn't have anything. It was, the application protocol was not there, it was also only TCP. But what was the difference? The previous one was in port 80. This is not port 80, this is port 23. What is port 23? SSH. It's not SSH, but thank you for participating. What is 23? Is it telnet? It is very nice, yes. It's telnet. That is more suspicious, people. 80 can be anything. Telnet. Who is using telnet? Yeah, you want to say something? Is the destination the same IP address? And the answer is, I don't know. Is it? So you have same destination IP, going to port 80, port 23, one is telnet. Nobody should be using telnet. Nobody. Unfortunately, a lot of devices use telnet. And the majority of the thank you very much, IoT ones use telnet. So when you see right now connections to port 23, that's a huge thing, okay? So let's jump into number 8. 7, we saw it was suspicious. 8, again, port 80. Nothing here. This is more normal because it's port 80, not encrypted. But there you go. Number 9. 23 again. We know this one. 23 is actually suspicious. Number 10. Similar as before. And actually, if you pay attention in the number 9, you see that the source port is 60,006, and in number 10 is 60,008. That is not by mistake. It's because the moment the computer is creating new connections, each of these new connections, the operating system is putting incremental ports. So that means that actually it's coming from the same computer, one after the other, okay? So that's TCP number 10, same as before. Now we have TCP stream number 11. What about this one? Good or bad? It's actually, for the first time, really using telnet. And you can see again, TCP, 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 the connection was found and established. Then, finally, we can go to the telnet level. Then, we have a confirmation act, telnet, TCP, and telnet. And you can follow, actually, this connection. And when you follow, you have this. What about that? Bildungs, or however you pronounce that one. So this is clearly, first, is it telnet or not? Yes or yeah? Yes. It says telnet. Are you sure? Everyone is sure this is telnet? It's not encrypted, which maybe confirms it's telnet, right? So it's telnet. Maybe you don't remember, but telnet is a binary protocol. It's not ASCII completely. It's ASCII, yes, but at the beginning of the ASCII, there are some bits that telnet uses to set stuff of the connection. So you can use the telnet protocol and on top, do whatever you want. It's like NCAT. So it's not the traditional telnet in the sense of please log in, please put a password, and now have a session, but it's being used as what? What is this? Telnet is a protocol. What is the meaning of that? You are looking at
Chat or something?
a chat of something. Could be, does it look like human chatting? No? Looks as a CNC. So the CNC, posor, there. This looks as a command and control channel. It's one computer talking to another computer, and one computer is saying something, whatever, bildongs, can be hi, how are you, or can be I'm alive. And then there is actually a command of the command and control, scanner on. And the other process proving, like telling you, yes, I'm scanning. This is similar to what we did in IRC, but this is a real one. So this is clear confirmation that there is a malware, we don't know which one, contacting some computer using telnet protocol, but it's actually a telnet undercover to be a command and control channel. Which is the command and control server? Well, it's that IP, 104, 248, 160, 24. And if you see, this is the same IP that was used before for many other things, okay? So that's a confirmation of a command and control channel. Later, I'm going to be doing the TC stream more than 11. And if you just do everything that is more than 11, you have this. So, stream more than 11, what is this? Who can tell us? I'm running out of chocolates, but I have with me these beautiful sugar candies. So? What is this? And of course, we know that you don't have enough information, you don't have enough time, because we are not giving you half an hour or 1 day to check this. But you know what? That's real work life. You never have enough time and information to take decisions. When you're in a real case, it's something like, oh yeah, and this computer belongs to your boss, and they are leaving the country in 2 hours, and you need to tell me right now if this is an infection or not. Should we delete the computer or not? Should we take down our servers in the cloud? Should we call the CERT or not? And then you have that, and you have to decide, right? So, good or bad? Q, can you cue him? Yes, you have it, go.
It looks like some kind of scanning, because all of those are going to port 23 on some different destination IP addresses.
Exactly. So port 23, we already say telnet, very suspicious. What else is suspicious here? Well, we have many connections. That's also very suspicious. How many connections we have? Well, some of them, right? What else is suspicious here? The address are not only increments, but increment in a very weird way. 1111 to 222, 3333, and then 9999, 1010. Who is incrementing like that? Clearly, it's a very weird, not random incremental per octet way. This is actually very, very, very good, because not only you know this is automated and now it's incrementally growing the IPs, but you can have the modus operandi of this specific malware. Other malware is not scanning like that. Nmap is not scanning like that. So you can actually find other versions of this malware or the people, the developers of this code that decided to scan like that in other networks. And that's how they start to profile the people, okay? Also, if you pay attention, there is a kind of, I don't want to say weird, but weirdish thing with the source ports, because the source ports are not completely following an order, so I have to sort them. This is not completely bad, but it's a little bit weird. We are expecting the ports, source ports, to be kind of incremental like the operating system. So this is telling me that the operating system is not the one assigning the source ports. It's actually the malware doing it. Maybe some random numbers, okay? So that's final confirmation that this is a malicious capture with malware. We have some benign traffic that you should know, because computers are doing benign things even if they are infected. We have suspicious connections in here, malicious connections in the download of files, more suspicious connections in the telnet, a malicious command and control, and the serial discoveries of telnet, okay? So if you need to conclude this, you can say that with the current information, we know that the host, this is the client you were analyzing, was possibly running Debian and got infected with malware, okay? It's unclear how the first infection happened. You don't know why it was infected. Was it phishing? Was it an email? Was it Bluetooth? We don't know. There is nothing there in the capture, right? But the malicious behavior matches a classic IoT Linux malware because of the telnet connections and the spreading pattern, okay? The load of ELF files, execution of malicious files, and contacting the command and control server. If you remember, I'm now gonna clean this filtering out, so I see all the packets, okay? I just see all the packets. If you remember, there was a lot of downloading. All of this is downloading of files, downloading of 1 file, 2 files, 3 files. I can show you with the HTTP, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 files. And suddenly, after some time, we don't know what happened, some of those second binaries actually work. And those second binaries that actually work, some of those start doing this scanning. So there was a downloading in a binary, we don't know what for, another binary, we don't know what for, another binary, we don't know, and suddenly a new behavior. So you can tie all together and say some of those binaries, at least one is a scanner. So now we are going to stop with this capture here because
can you show put the filter that
this
is,
one?
no.
This one.
No, a little bit up. Up. Yeah, this one.
one.
Yeah. So this filter is, remember that we are creating filters as we go through the clean, rinse, and repeat. And so we are removing stuff that we check. So in the end, this is a filter we have, and there is nothing. This is like, we actually went through all the packets in the capture, right? This is what we wanted to do at the beginning, and we make sure that we didn't miss anything. So this is how you are sure that you saw everything and there is nothing missing. Yeah.
And also remember that now you have the binaries too. So if you remember the class of binary reversing, you can go home and then reverse this malware, and this is real malware, people, and you will find that scanner and many, many other things, okay? So we are ready for the first break, but before that, recapping is the malware analysis is a crucial skill. This is hard, a lot of work, but you need to know how to do that and recognize malicious traffic, okay? And after this, we are gonna start doing automation. Do you want to say, we have a small surprise for you that you can do in the break?
Yeah, so remember that this Friday is the last date we accept postcards, and it came to our attention that CTO students almost they didn't submit any postcards, except some exceptions.
Shame on you.
So
Shame on. No, they are not coming. They're not coming for the last class.
Or maybe that's why, right? So we brought postcards, we brought pens, and we actually got a mailbox, okay? So you can actually, it cannot be more easy. So can you put up the voting page?
Yes.
In the class. So remember that there are 4 classes to vote, 4 topics, And you have to,
What was about it?
it's anonymous, you only write in syllables, learn more, yeah. Class voting, yeah, that one, the last one.
Oh, I didn't see it.
So topics to vote on, you have to choose one, and then you submit your postcard. It's anonymous, you can put stickers like this, and then you put it on the mailbox. If you don't know how a postcard is actually put in a mailbox, you, you raise the lid, and then you just slide it through, okay? It's very simple.
If you need a video, we can do a video too. Okay, so we have a break. So see you in 10 minutes, internet. 3:50 for us here, okay? Actually, we do have a video. Do you see the video? Have a video? How to use a postcard? It's amazing. Okay, ready, people? Let's continue. Oh no, we are running out of sweets. If I run out of sweets, I have my special candy for the throat. If I can drop this too. Maybe you need it. So let's continue, people. This was the analysis of a pickup by hand trying to find malicious or benign connections. But as you saw, pickups are awesome, but it's extremely hard job. So how can improve? And most importantly, what happens if you have million, 2 million packets, 10 million packets? Are you gonna go one by one? No, you are not. So the answer here is flows. What are flows? And for knowing what are flows, we are gonna be using Zeek. So Zeek, before called Bro, is a network monitor program that quietly and unobtrusively observes network traffic and interprets what it sees to create compact, high-fidelity transaction logs and file content, quote unquote, from their side. So Zeek is a program that takes the packets in the network or a pickup and creates flows. And these flows are a text record that summarizes information on all the packets in the same communication or stream. Very similar as what we saw before in Wireshark, the streams or the connections. That concept, also called a flow, is created by Zeek and is summarizing all the information in a text file. To understand how a text file is created, here in the example, we can see that those are packets, like you just saw in TCP dump, or as you saw in Wireshark, and these packets are having some time, having some protocol IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, flags, SYN, SYNAC, ACK, push, ACK, push, ACK, and others, and a lot of things happening, okay? All this information is analyzed by Zeek, summarized, and only one line of text, this one here, is being created, summarizing all the information. Text, okay? So we have columns. The first one is the timestamp. The second is the ID of the origin host, that is the source IP. That is the ID of the response host, that is destination IP. ID of the response port, origin port, response host, response port, source port, destination IP, destination port. Protocol, duration, bytes sent by the origin, that is the source IP. Bytes sent by the response, that is the destination IP. That is bytes going this way and bytes going this way. The state of the connection, the origin sent packets, and response sent packets, okay? Clear for everybody? Questions? No? So, first question. What is and how do you do the TS. What is the timestamp in the first column? What is this 81 seconds something? How do you compute that one? Because clearly you have a lot of packets with different times. What is the timestamp of the flow? The timestamp of the first one. You were faster than me with the cloud. Yes, this is a time when the first packet of the flow appears. The format, it differs. Here is in epoch time, okay, seconds from the 1st of January 1970, but can be different formats. It doesn't matter. This epoch time can be converted to actual time, like this one. So source IP is source IP. However, question for you. Which is the source IP in the first packet there? Oh, sorry, I didn't give you your candy. This is orange. Good luck. Oh, sorry. Oh, no. Yeah, I think mistakes were made both sides, but... So, what is the source IP in the first packet? I know you know this one. We are talking about source IP since the first class, and you look at me like, which one? So, what is the source IP? Scream. Thank you very much. 10.02.15, right? Source IP in the first packet. What is the source IP in the second packet? 54.72.951. Now, wait. This is a connection. This is a computer talking to another computer. How can you have a source IP that is different from the source IP of the next packet? Let me ask you another question. What is the destination port of the first packet? 80. And what is the destination port on the second packet? 4970. So when you say this connection has destination port 80, it's kind of a misnomer. The packets going in that direction has the destination port 80. The packets going to that direction, they have source port 80. Okay? So, yes, we colloquially said the connection has destination port 80. This is what Zeek is doing, destination port 80. Just bear in mind that the packets going in the other direction, they have them reverse, right? They're coming from 80, going to your source port. Was it clear? No? Yes? Now, sorry. Protocol, duration. What about duration? How do you compute the duration? Go. So close. The difference between the first and the last packet is not, but extremely close. Think about that one. Difference the first and the last one. The difference between the
finish packet or the fin packet.
Oh, the fin packet. Well, that would be a little bit weird because the first fin packet is here, and then would be the difference between this one and which one. That would be maybe a little bit weird. I would say no. So, what is the duration? You were very close. The first packet starts at time 1, imagine. The last packet starts at time 10. If you do first packet minus last packet, is 1 minus 10. That is minus 9. Duration cannot be minus 9. Is the last packet minus the first packet, right? There you go. You deserve another candy anyway. Yeah. Oh, there is something in the air here. I will try this side, the next one. So duration is the last packet time minus the first packet time. Question. Sometimes flows have one packet, like ICMP. No, nothing going back, maybe. That's your whole flow. So what is the duration if you only have one packet? 0. Very well, it's 0. So duration is 0. It's not bad. It's just you have one packet, okay? It's not magic. And then the same with the other ones. Now, we have many standards for net flows. We are going to be using just Zeek. Bear in mind that there is a standard like NetFlows version 5, then NetFlow version 9, then IPFix, and others, okay? They are different. Only one more thing I want to say about flows. How do you get together all the packets of one connection or one flow? what are the constraints to get together the packets of a connection? Which packets belong to that connection? Which packets do not belong to that connection? Clearly, you have a lot of packets going to port 80. Not all of them are part of this flow. So how do you get together all these packets? Go. Ah. Q. Can you cue him? Thank you.
Doesn't TCP have some field for this in the header or something?
It's a good answer. Does not have TCP some field for this? Like, I don't know, we have so many stupid fields, right? There are no fields in TCP because in the design of TCP was on purpose decided that they don't want to track all the packets as flows, and also imagine that a lot of packets are not TCP, are even below TCP, like ICMP, and others are UDP, and others don't have an application like a transport layer. So you need to have flows in every layer, not only in the transport, right? So how do you get them together?
A TCP connection is identified by the source IP and the source port, and the destination IP and the destination port. So
And yes,
if we want to join the packets that are going like one way and the other way, then we just swap which is the source and the destination.
good answer. So we have destination, source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port. It's not completely complete. We also need a protocol. So it's like protocol, TCP, UDP, SMB, whatever, source IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, and also there is the time frame of the flow. So all these protocols, they cut at some moment in time saying, okay, all the packets that share all these things are going to be the same flow. But also they should do that in kind of maybe 1 hour or 1 minute or 5 minutes. That means that if in 5 hours I found another packet with these 5 characteristics, that's another flow. Because ports are not infinite, they're going to repeat. So usually you also have there the time, okay? That is how the flows are created. Okay, so Zeek is interpreting the traffic and producing these files. So it's capturing the live traffic, right? Processing the offline pickup, parsing the protocols, reconstructing the files, and running custom scripts up there, okay? So if you are on the internet, mock students, please log into your Hacker Lab, and then you need to go to the class 11 container. And city student, just stay in your container. So I'm going to go to my SCL, and I'm going to connect to my class. And now that you are in your Dockers, let's create a folder for Zeek logs. Get into that folder. And now that you're in your folder, let's run Zeek in a capture file that you have in data class 11 capture1.pickupng. I will give you some seconds. So we are running Zeek with dash capital C and R. R means reading this file. But capital Z means if the checksums of the pickup are bad, just fix them, ignore, and continue, okay? So once you do this, actually, you will have in your folder log files, con.log, dns.log, files, http, ntp, and packet filter, okay? These are the logs of Zeek. Now, let's analyze them to see what's inside. So the conlog is the main file for the logs. In here you will find one line per each log flow that you have in your capture. TCP, UDP, ICMP, and others. So the first thing you can do is just do a less of the file, just like a normal file, and you will see that it has some content. I will do -S to cut it, right? But you see that there's a content. We will go through these ones, right? And explaining, but each line is going to be a flow for you. However, we have an issue with the columns in here. So the best way to see the columns is to cut the file, and then we can use a tool called Zeek cut that we are going to print the human dates instead of these Unix epoch times that we have in the first column. So we are going to transform those into human dates. And then we are going to use the column command to actually print correctly the columns, because if you pay attention in your file with less, the columns are kind of mismatched, and it's not clear which column is which column. You have here the column names, right? So to avoid that, we are going to use the column and then pipe less. So if you do this new command instead, now you're going to have much better columns, okay? So please do that command, and let's analyze this file. Do you see that content? Yes? Internet? No questions today? So you already know this file, but each line is a flow. You have the start time, TS. The second column is the UID. It's a random identifier by Zeek, created new every time you run Zeek, okay? Then we have the source IP, source port. I'm going to move to the right, destination IP, destination port, protocol, and service. Pay attention how good it is. Not only you have the protocol TCP UDP, but Zeek is able to identify if each flow is HTTP or DNS or something. This is already very good. Then you have the duration, and then you have all the flows we saw before: origin bytes, response bytes, state of the connection, and many others: history, origin bytes, origin packets. Already this is very good for you. You can count how many connections are coming from one IP. You can count how many connections are going to some IP, what's going on in the port. You can go over the whole capture. I'm going down, one down, one down, one down, and you can find the IPs going to telnet, and that's it. Look, I did 10 times going down in my screen, and we ran out of flows. Compare this with the amount of packets we have in Wireshark, okay? So flows are an amazing way for you to actually find out what's going on in the capture, including that we see that after the telnet attack, we have even more NTP connections, okay? So apart from the main connection log, Zeek is very, very good at interpreting individual protocols. That means that in the case of DNS, for example, can actually understand DNS. So if you cut the DNS log and you just do the same trick with the columns and the cut, please look at the DNS log. You will see very similar information like timestamp and UID and the source IP and source port, but if you move to the right, you will see information about the DNS connection, like transactions ID, the RTT, the query that was being done in the DNS. I'm going to go down, see? And then if you move to the right, you have more information about the type of query, A and AIA. You have the error code. You have the answer. So all the information about DNS, you don't have to follow anymore. You just generate the logs, and you have an extremely good high-level view of everything in the capture. All the DNS, all the ARP, everything that you need to know, okay? And more, TTLs of the connection, if it was rejected or not. Analyzing malware is extremely much easier with flows. In this capture, also we have something called the files log. So if you look at the files log now, if you look at the files logs, you will see that there are fewer lines, but each line not has a time, also the UID, source port, destination, but then you have the source, HTTP, and it was an executable, see? And after having an executable, you have the duration, you have the bytes, I'm going to the right, I'm going to the right, to the right, and that's it. So you know that you have 5 files being downloaded via HTTP. Clear? Questions? Pay attention that you have another field now called the file UID, that is a random ID identifying files. Okay? Zeek is able to understand many dozens of protocols. Only is going to create files for those protocols in this capture. Next, let's take a look at the HTTP one. In HTTP, we have a very similar thing. Look now, the destinations are very clear, port 80. I'm going to move to my right. And here you have the names of the files being downloaded, the files we saw before, the version of the wget. All the information that you want to know is actually stored in the flow. This is so much easier, people. Like, we can do the analysis like that right now. Okay? Also, we have NTP. We can check the NTP one. But actually, the NTP is much simpler because we know it was benign. So we have all the flows coming, all the flows coming from the source IP to the different computers on NTP. And Zeek even knows how to interpret the timing. So the precision, the root delay, everything, dispersion, the reference time, all the times in NTP, which is a very nice analysis, okay? So there are many others, like TLS and SSL and many other fields, depend on the capture you see. But from now on, I highly suggest that anytime that you need to see pickups or traffic in your network, you also have Zeek running, giving you flows. Flows are much faster, easier to analyze, easier to comprehend. You can analyze with any Python script or file. It's like extremely fast and easy, okay? So, what are the disadvantages of flows? Who can tell? What are the disadvantages of flows? Disadvantages of flows. Go.
For one, we don't see the timings of individual packets.
Very good. We don't see the timings of individual packets. If you have 20 packets or 100, you see the number. Inside, no idea. You can be sending packets every 1 second or 20 or maybe a frequency inside. That is lost. If you want that information, you can do it because Zeek has a scripted language and you can program your own detections. So if you want this information, you can program your own detection and then it's going to appear. By default, it's not there. What is the other big problem? What is the other big problem? Come on, an important one. Play with me. What is the big one, super big one? The one that says, well, that is fine, but... Q.
I don't know how, but somebody might try to like smuggle inside of something that would result in a single like flow. He might put in some other packets which would perhaps even adhere to the like protocol, but would have some content.
Wait, I'm lost. To do what? Again.
Well, Zeek kind of takes a lot of packets and summarize them by one flow.
Yes.
And if it makes a wrong assumption about that these packets are just one flow,
yes,
which just shouldn't be reported any further, then the information in them is kind of hidden and...
you lost visibility. Yes. This is a very good point. If Zeek makes any error, and it happens, then you are losing visibility. You may believe something that is not there. The clearness of these problems is that to know which is the source IP and the destination IP, Zeek follows the protocols. And if for some reason the first packet is lost, because happens, then Zeek is not sure anymore who is the source IP. Sometimes it's able to recognize this situation and it's telling you, I think this is source IP, but I'm marking it as be careful because this may be a flip one. We are going to see that in the state. But if you don't have this, you may believe that the opposite is happening. So that's a very good point. But a much more important problem is not this one, it's the fact that you don't have the content of the packet, people. There is no content. So how do you know? Yes, Zeek is analyzing the protocol and showing me HTTP. What about the rest? What if it's an unknown custom protocol? What Zeek is going to show me if this is a malware command and control binary protocol? Well, nothing. So you are going to be losing visibility because it's not storing the payload. That's why you can store hundred thousands of flows in 1 megabyte because it's text, you compress, there is no payload. Okay? So there is a trade-off there for you. So let's jump into the column states. So if you remember before, I'm going to go back to the conlog file. I'm going to go back to the conlog file. So you can go back with me, conlog. There is a field here called the state, constate. And this is a very important field. The meaning of this field is that based on the packets, based on the flags, based on TCP, UDP, based on things, you actually can know in which state is the connection. So if you see the state as SF, that means the connection is established and the connection terminated successfully. This is your normal connection. But if you see S0, then this is a connection attempt where Zeek did not see a reply. So in our case, we have a lot of SF in the connections that actually work, but also we have a lot of S0, meaning, yeah, this is a SYM packet that went that way and nothing went back. So you can separate the flows, which ones are real connections, which ones are attempts to connect, only by looking at the state, okay? Other states are the connection is established but not terminated, connection established but closed by the responder, no SYN has been seen, responder sent a SYNAC, the connection attempt was rejected. So you can see all the states. Using these states, you can actually do filters, and you can say, I only care about the established connections. I don't care about the attempts, or I only care about the attempts, okay? If I go back to our list of connections and I go down, you will see I'm going with F, down, 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 F, 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 F. Well, you only have one S1 here and one 0, and not else. Sometimes we have other type of states, okay? Questions about states? Sure? No questions? Internet.
Yeah, from the internet. So we should use it complementary to Wireshark, like Zeek, no?
100%, you should. When I'm looking at the capture for the first time ever, first time pickup, I first open TCP dump. I have a high-level view of what I'm looking at. Are they packets, attacks? I just scroll down and see thousands and thousands of packets, having an idea what to expect, right? I don't do this in Wireshark unless it's a small file. And then after that, I run Zeek. I have all my logs, and then I analyze very clearly what happened. If some of the flows calls me and say, this is weird, I check the protocol. Maybe everything is there. But if it's a weird protocol, especially in malware traffic, most of the protocols are not in Zeek, then I go back to the Wireshark on TCP dump, search the connection, and see the content, right? So yeah, it's completely complementary. Sorry, complementary. Another field, it's called the Zeek history. So hit Zeek history, I'm going back to our conlog. I'm gonna go to the top, 1G, if you want to go to the top, 1 capital G. Now, first one, and then capital G along. And then you have one field called history. And this history is the history of all the changes in states for each of the packets inside. So this one is telling me how the state was changed when more packets were coming from a scene. Let me show you what it means. So if you see an S, it's a scene without an ACK. Capital H is a CNAC, a handshake. Capital A pure A. Packet with payload. So you can use these letters to see what the packets changed in the state of all this flow. So you have the history of the changes. Also very important if you want to decide what to do with this flow, okay? So yes, exactly, we have an example here, T, and others, right? And if the flow is flip, then you will have this hat thingy. If this is coming from the origin, it's going to be uppercase. If it's coming from the response, the destination IP, then it's going to be lowercase, okay? And other things for you to see. Questions about history? No? We are going to be stopping with flows here. There is a lot to do with flows, and we are going to be using flows next. But the theory of flows, you can go and check, is very, very nice how to use them. So flows are critically important in most organizations because pickups are very hard to store, okay? If you want to store the pickups of your whole computer, it's going to be gigabytes and gigabytes of videos every day. You cannot store. But if you store the flows very nicely, right now, for example, we are storing the flows of roughly 6,000 computers, and we are storing all the flows for the last 11 years is going to be now, and that's less than 1 terabyte. So really, you can compress this in a much, very super way. And then you can go back in time. I go back in time 3 years ago and see what the computers were doing. Were they infected, no infected, or whatever, okay? So consider flows for this. Extra, if you want to do this at home, there is a thread hunting question there. With whom did the client connect? So I'm not going to be doing it here. I will left it for you to extend your knowledge later, okay? And another extra I will be doing is that Zeek, remember I told you, has a programming language in Lua, and this scripting language that, by the way, is Turing complete, so you can do everything in there, has a lot of scripts you can download. And in particular, we love one script that is called extractallfiles.zeek, and you literally run like this. And that one is not only going to give you the flows, but it's going to create the files that were transmitted in this connection, okay? So you will also have the files in your disk. I'm not going to do this in here. It's an extra for you later. Questions? Go. Oh, sorry, can you cue her?
What's the difference between the state and the flow?
What is the difference? So the flow itself is this summary of everything that the packets did. So you have all the packets, and you take all the packets and you create a flow that's this summary. Now, all these packets belong to a protocol or protocols that were doing something, trying to connect, send the file, right? So all these packets end up in a protocol and a communication that is in a certain state. For example, if you try to initiate the connection to an open port, you send a SYN packet, a packet with a SYN bit. Up to that moment, we say that the connection is initiated. If the port is open and is answering back with a CNAC, and then you answer with an ACK, the TCP handshake, we say the connection is established. So the state of the connection changes while the packets are happening. So what Zeek is telling you is like, okay, I have one flow for all those packets. At the end, the state of the connection is, and it's putting in this field. So the state is telling you, oh, everything that happened in the packets was established. Transfer bytes, no errors, no problems. Another state can be, no, it's trying to connect 20 times, but it didn't establish the connection. So all these letters are telling you in which state the flow was, okay? Was it clear? There you go. Look, and I have the tree for you. There you go. Should I? Should I? Okay, I will. Oh, 1, 2, 3. What? Well done. Oh, no. Dips. I think he's here. There you go. Luckily, it's resistant. Another question? So let's jump into automatic detection of command control with machine learning. Are you ready for this one? Let's machine learn. Let's learn machine. So we are going to show an alternative way to analyze traffic automatically. And for that, we are going to be using Google Colab. If you don't know, Google Colab, it's a way of having a Jupyter notebook on Google. If you don't know what is a Jupyter notebook, it's a type of web page with Python that you can execute your Python code by hand in there. So Jupyter notebook that is hosted on Google is called a Colab, and we are going to be using this service in Google. For this internet, you are going to need your Google account or Gmail account or something. So if anybody does not have a Gmail account, unfortunately, you need one. I'm sorry for this. Yes, we told you before, okay? The good thing is that if you have your account in Gmail and you have a Google Colab, Colab is giving you for free GPU access, people. You can have quite good GPUs for free there. So that's very good. And actually TPUs too. So Google is putting a lot of money on this. A lot of people doing science is using Colab only because they can open many of these ones and use the GPUs, okay? So we are going to be looking at the interface. That is something like this. So you will have something called the cell. This is a cell. And if you click on the play, the Python in the cell is being executed. You can also execute the cell with Shift-Enter. And then you have your traditional menus, like adding cells for code, adding cells for text, documentation, running everything, right? Here you write your Python, and here you can connect to different runtimes, like Pythons behind the scenes, okay? So let's open the Colab we prepare for you. So if you click in this link, online, CTU, everybody, you should go and open your Colab. You should see something like this. This is your Colab of the class 11, manual and automatic detection of command and control channels. I will give you some seconds for you to get in. Sorry?
Like they should make a copy.
Yes, yes, yes. Once you are in this Colab, the first thing you should do, because since this Colab belongs to us, Stratosphere, you cannot modify. So you need to copy the Colab file, save a copy in Drive. So now you don't have your own copy of the Colab. And in your own copy, you can do whatever you want. Okay? Internet, save a copy in Drive. I suggest you close the outline. And if you are not automatically connected, you can click Connect, and you will connect to the background, Python. I will give you seconds so we can start with the machine learning part. Internet, you're okay? Everybody ready? You have your copy? Yes? So, we are going to be using Colab to show basics of machine learning analysis of malware traffic. And our goal is going to be to analyze the Zeek logs of real malware with machine learning, and see if you can find the command and control channel. Goal, find the command and control channel. The malware we are going to be analyzing is actually real malware. It's from the Mirai botnet, one of the Mirai botnets, and belongs to one of the datasets created by the Stratosphere laboratory called Stratosphere IoT23 dataset. And this dataset, which is 23 different devices infected with malware, IoT devices, real hardware, can be seen and downloaded for free from there. And you can have the pickups or flows or whatever you want, okay? Be careful, it's real traffic. So we are going to learn a little bit about Google Colab and IPython Jupyter. We are going to import the Zeek logs. We are going to explore the data. We are going to clean the data. We are going to build a machine learning model. We are going to test it. And maybe later you can do some classifier if you want. So several things before starting. The first one is we are going to be analyzing flows because loading packets directly into some machine learning system is a little bit hard. Like you need to transform this into something the machine learning can use. So even if you have packets, you need to read those and interpret in a way. You can do packet by packet, sure, but it's extremely, extremely hard, and you will have millions of those. So the standard procedure is to transform all this traffic into flows, so you have a much better representation. And also this is text, so you can transform the text in anything you want, okay? Also, I want you to know, so who here is doing some machine learning in any way, maybe at work, maybe at the university, maybe at home because you like machine learning models, training a network, training somebody? There you go, there you go, there you go. So, there you go, oh, more, that is so nice. So, then you know that 80% of the time of you doing any machine learning, it's data preparation. Having the right data, cleaning the right data, changing the right data. This is where your time goes because this is a more important step. If you do not have good data, no model is going to help you, okay? So, preliminaries. We have Colab, and we are going to be using, I already told you about. Another tool we are going to be importing is UMAP. UMAP is a technique we are going to be using for reducing the dimensions of our data so we can plot. So how do we execute that cell so you can actually run it? You can do Shift, Enter, and you see it's running, installing, and you should have everything installed in some seconds. You can also click in the play with your mouse. You should make a copy for this, remember. Works for everybody? Internet? Is it installing for you? No problem so far? Perfect. So while this is installing UMAP for me, I'm going to tell you about ZAD. ZAD is a Python library for actually reading the Zeek logs directly and loading them into a pandas data frame. I'm going to tell you what is a pandas data frame in a second. So also, you can stand up in this cell that says !pip, install ZAD, from ZAD log to data frame, import log to data frame. We are only importing libraries, okay? Shift Enter is going to wait until the previous one is running. If you pay attention, my cell is not running yet because the previous is still running, so just wait for it. There you go. Now the first one ended, the second one started running, see? And when this is going to end, then it's going to put you here that end correctly. While this is being installed, I'm going to tell you about the pandas library. So pandas, if you don't know, is an extremely powerful data manipulation library for Python. Very, very large, has many, many functions, but mostly is being used to load data, prepare the data, change the data, explore the data. You can clean the data, transform, do feature engineering, and pandas is awesome for this. You can just create these data frames and then move them around and transpose very, very, very fast, okay? So we are going to be loading the pandas. Again, Shift Enter, or run this one, import pandas as PD. If you have questions, now is the right time. So we are going to be importing all of this one by one. NumPy, I'm going to import and tell you. NumPy is the preferred Python library for numerical analysis. If you need to do any numerical operations in Python, from matrices to transpositions to whatever, use NumPy. It's 1,000 times faster than any other library and is optimized for GPUs. So when you have the chance, always transform anything into NumPy. So we are going to use NumPy. We are going to be using matplotlib. Matplotlib, I'm going to run it and install. It's a library for plotting, okay? Graphs. We are going to be using sklearn. I'm sure you know this one. I'm going to run this one too. Sklearn or scikit-learn is the de facto standard library in Python for machine learning. Inside this library, you have, I don't know, 500 different clustering classification algorithms all over the place. Extremely good. Other libraries are better for other things. You have TensorFlow and Keras, PyTorch, and others for specific things. The basic algorithms are very well implemented here. Then we have a library IP address that is for interpreting IP addresses and understanding them. And finally, in Colab, we are going to install something called the data table, because every time we see a table, we want to see in a very nice way, okay? So up to here, you should have executed everything, and you should be ready to continue, okay? Everybody? Internet? Perfect. Let's move into downloading the data. Now, we are going to be importing the OS library. We have a file path. This file we want to load, CTU, IoT, malware 11, con log level. And we are going to be using OS to find if we have this file or not. And if we don't, we are going to execute wget. In case you didn't notice, the exclamation mark means execute this command in the Colab. Colab has a kind of a Linux environment inside, and you can execute commands there and store files, so you have a space to store and everything. So we are going to literally download with wget this file. So execute this one, and you should see how the file downloads for you. Okay, Internet? You can check if you have the file by executing exclamation mark ls-alh, and you will see, oh, I actually have the file. Yes? Now that we have a file, it's a text file with the data set, we need to kind of clean it and load it. So first, we're going to be talking about the pandas data frame. Anybody knows what is a pandas data frame? Go. Wait, cue him. Oh, wait. Oh, thank you very much.
It's sort of an, well, if anybody have seen CSV, it's like an Excel table basically. It has some headers, and then it got rows with information for those headers where the information can be missing. So it kind of models the structure of CSV or Excel file or other table-like structures.
It's a good point. It's actually very similar to spreadsheet. Imagine that you have in a CSV file columns and rows. That's your traditional matrix. But pandas extends this with headers and types for the columns and indexes. So gives power to a matrix of values, so you actually can manipulate and rotate and transform. So pandas data frame is the preferred way to dealing with data in Python. So the first thing we are going to be using is log to data frame. That's an object, and then we are going to be using this object, create data frame, and just say from which file name. So this is a to-do for you. You are going to have many to-dos in this Colab. Now you have 20 seconds to fill in here the correct information to load this file. So please go fix it and load the correct file. Ready? You will have this to do for you that you can open and close. And if you don't know how to solve in each of them, you also have the answer that I guess you are not going to look until you solve them. So please try to solve them and then open the answer. This is very similar to using some LLM like ChatGPT to solve something. Like, can you use ChatGPT to solve an assignment or an exam? Sure, you can. Should you do it? Of course, it's a tool like Google. Go do it. Like you have Google, you can ask your friend, and the friend is going to tell you the answer. That's not the problem. The problem is that you should also aim at learning whatever you need to learn to actually be better computer science master or bachelor or PhD or whatever you want to be. So even if you ask a friend, you also want to understand the process and say, can you explain this to me? So you are going to ask Google and search, yes, but then you also try to read. Are you asking ChatGPT? No problem. Try to understand what it's saying. Talk to ChatGPT. Tell ChatGPT to tell you. This is the same. You have the answer, you can open and doing. But if you really want to learn, think about it and then open it, okay? It's going to be much better for you. So if you did it correctly, this is the name of the file, ctuiot malware11 log label, just the name of the file. And after this, now you have something called con_df, that is your data frame for your connections. If you want to see how many flows are in that data frame, you just use Python, like len of that object. So you run this, and it's going to tell you 7008. Do you see that? This is extremely straightforward. However, the difference of Colab is that if you take a variable, in this case the data frame itself, and you run a cell with a data frame, Colab is going to interpret that this is a pandas data frame, and it's going to show you the information in a much nicer way. You cannot just go in Python and execute a variable, but in here, when you do, Colab is going to show you all the information you have in the data frame, the timestamp, the UID, the origin ID, the ports, the resolution, all the information. And you can even do like filter here the entries, and if you go to the bottom, you can jump. So very, very, very nice. You can even do plots, but I'm going to not click on that now, okay? So after that, in this variable, also you can do dtypes. And dtypes, when you execute, is telling you what types are each column. So the answer to the dtypes is, in the data frame, we have a lot of columns, host IP, source port, destination IP, destination port, and it's going to tell you, well, for me, this is an object, this is an integer, so all of these ones are numbers, all of these, I don't know. Object means that it's not a number, it's not categorical, it's I don't know. Object is like, yeah. When all the values in a column are numbers, then they are float 64, okay? Now, we also have a function in pandas called describe, and describe is going to tell you statistics about the column. So when you execute this, you will see each of the columns, but now we have statistics about the columns. The amount of rows in the columns, how many are unique. For example, we have only 155 different source IPs. That's very nice, actually. We have almost 4,000. Sorry. We have almost 4,000 destination IPs. Automatically, is doing this for you. We have the mean, if this is a number, for example, we can go to a column like, let's search for a column like, yeah, okay, we are gonna see this later. But when the column is directly a number, like response port, for example, you can have the mean, the standard deviation, and all the quartiles, right? So statistically speaking, this is very fast and very nice for your analysis. Remember, our goal is to find the command and control of the botnet. And for this, we need to find the correct flows. And these flows may have different characteristics. We need to identify these characteristics. Maybe they are longer. Maybe they have shorter duration. Maybe they are sending more bytes. This will reflect in the statistic of each column. If you want to see the column called label, because this dataset is labeled by humans, you can just say the connection df dot and the name of the column. In that column, Pandas is extending this for you. So you can do data frame dot column dot unique. When you execute the unique, it's going to tell you the unique values in that column label. So this is which are the unique values in the column called label in the data frame conDF. And the answer is there are only two values, benign and malicious. Was it clear? Pandas is not the easiest to understand the library, but it's very powerful, very object-like. Data frame dot column, column dot something, operations on the column, okay? Everybody on track? Perfect. Now, to do for you, get the unique values of the detail label column, please. So, you do it. Get unique values of the detail level column. You're still thinking? Internet? How are you going? No questions, Internet? Are any pandiers on the Internet? And the answer is you load the data frame dot the name of the column directly here, detail underscore label. The name of the column is what you put in the dot. That is such an easy notation. And then unique. Was it clear? Okay. We are actually, I thought that we did the second break, but we didn't, right? Or we did? No, I think we did, right? I'm sorry. I was so sure we did a second break. Let's do a second break. I'm sorry for that. And let's be back in 10 minutes. At 58, we are back here. Sorry, Internet. You can go to the bathroom now. I was so sure. Okay, ready, people? So, Internet, we are back. Are you here with us? Come back, Internet. So, after looking at the detail labels, unique values, that was part of a horizontal port scan and command and control, you know that we have benign, we have malicious, and the detail label is nothing, probably for the benign, part of a horizontal port scan, which is an attack, but not the command and control, and what we want to detect, the command and control, okay? After this, we need to start cleaning the data. Remember, we are in the data cleaning phase. That means, in this case, there are columns that we don't care, like the UID that is random and the tunnels parents that is empty. So what you do is you do the data frame dot drop, and you drop any columns you want, columns, and then you do a list of columns. However, how the drop works is that it's returning a new data frame. So the drop does not modify the same data frame by default. So the best way to do that is to store in the same variable, again, the data frame modify. You get it? You modify and you store in itself. Kind of you update it with a version without the columns. Run that one. Now, Pandas data frame can be used also as a Python list. So, to do for you here, print in this data frame from the row 100 to the row 110. Modify this to see the rows from index 100 to 110. Exactly as a Python list. Ready? And the answer is that you can do it like a list. Literally the data frame, and then as a Python list, you have the first number and the last number, and you just execute that. I said print. You can also do literally print, like in Python, but in Colab or Jupyter, you don't need that. You just put the variable, press enter, and you will explore specific lines. Now let's go into exploratory data analysis. So we need to view the dataset and understand. The first thing we are going to be doing is plotting the amounts of each label. So for that, first I'm gonna, in the PLT plot that we import before, I'm gonna update the font size to be larger, not that you care right now. The important line is this one. In the data frame, we are gonna use a function called group by. If you remember databases, group by is just a way of grouping rows in one. So if you say, I want to group by, for example, label, it's going to take all the rows of the same label together and make groups inside the data frame. And then you need to show these groups in some way. So in here, this group by is going to group by label. And after this grouping by label, we are literally taking the column called label, and we are just going to count how many of those we have. We are going to count how many of those. So see the pandas dot operation, dot selection, dot operation, and then you can keep one after the other analyzing the data. Okay? So this is going to be taking the data frame, grouping by the label column of the same data frame. See there the recursion. Then I'm taking the column label and I'm counting it. And these numbers that now I'm counting, I can literally do dot plot to plot them. I create a plot by doing this object dot plot, okay? And further, I can now configure the plot. So the plot is going to be of type bars, horizontal bars. And the size of the figure is going to be 12.8. Do you see the dot, 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 dot? And then this plot, I'm going to put a title that is bar chart. So when you execute this, you have the plot. This is the power of this data analysis. You can take a lot of data, select, mix, group together, and then dot plot, and you have a plot there. No other things required. So in here you can see that we have more malicious labels than benign labels, okay? There is a little bit of imbalance. What about, oh, sorry. What about looking at the numbers, actually the amount? So now for you is group the flows, but now group them by the detail label and count the entries in each group. Then plot the bar chart horizontally in the logarithmic scale. To do for you, you need to create another plot, but this one for the detail label column. I will give you some seconds for you to try. Internet, any question? How are you, Internet? Following the pandas? Following the Jupyter? Data analysis? So, ready? And the answer is similar to before, loading the data frame, group by, but now you group by the detail label. Detail label, if you notice, is also coming from the data frame. This is not the name of the column. This is literally the column. When you do that, conf.detail label, these are all the values of the column. And then you select the same detail label, you count, you plot, bar, only that in the horizontal bar you can say the logarithm x is true. So that was a little bit tricky because it was not there before. But like in any Python, if you actually stand up on any of these functions, you would have the help on what to do. And even if you type, and if you move, and you put things, well, I need to do it not here. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes when you stand up on the objects, you have the help in there. Oh, like this one, the group bys and others, and the parameters, right? So you can go and search and see what each of these ones is doing. So when you run that, you should see this plot that now is horizontal, and you can see that you have many, many, many less command and controls that horizontal ports can, okay? Let's continue analyzing. Now, you can also, instead of plotting, you can have the same information, the detail label, but you can just count. Remember that count was part of what we did before. Count was part of what we did before. But now we only see the numbers, 8 and 4,000. The same structure you were using before to plot. See, after the count, before we plot. Now we just stop and print the numbers. Okay, so you have a better idea how this works. Now, let's plot the sent bytes and receive bytes in the sequence of flows, right? Is there any correlation? So for this, it's a little bit more complex. We need to create an axis in the plot. So that's the data frame. I choose the column. I'm gonna also drop here a nice cleaning operation. That is the drop na. Drop everything that it's not there. It's like empty. It's like not having a value. And then I'm just going to plot the origin bytes, like before. Whoa. Then I'm going to create a grid, and I'm going to also plot, but the response IPs. See, origin IPs, response IPs. Since I'm using the same axis, the plots are going to be together, overlapped. And then I put the ticks, I put a legend, and if you press enter, you will see two values plot together. If you analyze this, you will see that the response IP bytes are much less than the send bytes. So in this capture, much more bytes were sent than received, with some peaks from time to time. Clear? No questions, internet? Now, in pandas, each data frame that is like a spreadsheet has an index column. But because we didn't specify the index before, automatically the index was taking the timestamp. That's very bad, because we want the timestamp to actually use as a feature column. For solving this problem, we need to tell the data frame to reset the index and store all this in the new updated variable of the data frame. So when you do that, and then you just print the data frame again, you will see that the first column now is not the timestamp anymore. It's going to be a new numeric index. So the numeric index is now this one here, and the timestamp is now a new column for us because we want to use it. Okay? Let's continue. Now, let's convert some of these columns into, because there used to be strings, into real objects that we can use. The problem is, we want to do some machine learning. You cannot just give letters to the machine learning model. You need to convert this into something the models can use. 98% of the time, this means numbers. So how do you convert things into numbers? Well, you need to tell the data frame, this column, it's a number. Sometimes, some columns, it's not clear what they are. So you need to actually force a type, okay? The example is that we have data frame, column TS. Pay attention that I'm using another notation now instead of the dot. That is like the selection, like in Python list. I'm selecting the column called TS. Sorry. Here I'm selecting the column called TS and applying the operation as type flow 64. And I'm storing as a new column in the same data frame. So this is how we change the type of a column. For you to do is to change the rest of the columns label, detail label, proto, and constate into the type called category. So please solve it here, modify, to change the columns label, detail label, protocol, and constate into the type category. Ready? And the answer is similar to what you did with TS. Select the columns and follow the pattern. Reassign as type category. The type category is a very special one that chooses all the values in that column, and for each unique value assigns a category. So you cannot have numbers, but later you can have category 1 or category 2, and that helps a little bit, okay? After that, we are going to be another crazy operation. We have the source IP and the destination IP. Can we work with the destination IP and source IP? Sure, but now that is a string. It's a string that says 192 dot. How to work with this one? We want our machine learning to actually do something with this. IP addresses, if you remember, are 32-bit things. And you can interpret these 32-bit things as anything you want. One is 4 octets of things as a string, but also you can treat all of those as a number or as a real IP address. So the library IP address has a function IP address that you can give a string, but it's going to give you back a real object. And in the object, you can actually ask for the mask, you can ask for the first object, octet, second octet, and others, okay? So I'm going to do a crazy operation here. That is taking the column, applying a function, and the function I'm going to be applying is called a lambda function in Python. If you don't know, lambda functions are kind of a nameless function. It's a function that doesn't have a name. And the function is going to receive a parameter x, and the output of the function is going to be the operation integer over calling the IP address with that parameter. So this function take something in the x, convert into an IP address, then convert to an integer, is going to be returned, and is going to be applied to every value of the column source IP. Do you get it? Probably a lot of you already are using lambda functions and applies in Python. So if you do that, you're going to change the whole column source IP into actually values that you can use as an integer. Clear? No questions? Let's jump into correlation. Correlation is a statistical measure when you see if two different values are changing together. So if you have two different values that go up at the same time or down at the same time, you say they are positively correlated. I don't care what they are. One can be amount of apples in a tree, and the other one can be amount of gas in a car, whatever. If they are following each other perfectly, they have a correlation of 1. If they go up and down simultaneously, but opposite, they have a correlation of -1. So we want to see this in the columns we have. Why? Because if I have columns that are correlated, then I can delete one of those, because it means I don't care, I don't need those values. So actually my algorithm can be a little bit better. So for doing correlation, we are going to be using a library called Seaborn, and we are going to be plotting a figure where we just select all the columns that are numbers, and we use the core function, correlation function. So if you press enter on this one, you will automatically create a graph of all the columns as a y-axis, all the columns in the x-axis, and in the intersection you have a color and a number. When the correlation is close to -0.6, it's almost black. When the correlation is close to 1, it's almost white. So you can see very nice which columns are correlated with which columns. Of course, all the column is correlated with itself, so the diagonal is 1. That's good. We expect that. And then and then you have like the source port. Sorry. you have that the source port is correlated negatively with the response bytes. See, look at here, minus 0.7. Important ones, you have the response bytes correlated with these two columns that are the origin bytes and the origin IP bytes, sorry, origin packets. So some columns are a little bit more correlated than others. And the rest, it seems that they are not so much correlated. Everything that is in 0 means no correlation, okay? An analysis of the data frame you have. Questions? So, then you have the data processing that we are going to be looking at the columns in here. So we can change the flows without label to have a dash as a label. So right now, I'm going to be executing these cells, and we are going to be moving forward. I'm not going to stop so much on the Python. So actually, we can move forward and reach the machine learning part, okay? A lot of this has to do with the pandas distribution, with how to work with data, okay? So if you need to go deep, you can go and go slowly reading how each function works. After changing the label, I'm going to present that in the description of the data frame, so you can see now how we are changing the data frame. We have columns with names. Everything is a number in here. Now we are going to create a second data frame that actually has only the numbers. So the select D types is numbers. We just want to keep the numbers. Now we are going to actually get these columns that we want that are not numbers, like protocol and source IPs, and we are going to keep them. So our final data frame has more things. Then I'm going to discard some empty columns, like the local origin, local response, and service. I'm dropping columns here. Then I'm going to check if actually some of my values are still empty. So when I check which values are empty, I have 3 columns with empty values: duration, origin bytes, and response bytes. So actually, I will see why I have this problem. So in origin bytes, I want to print all the flows that have a column with isNA, which means it's not a number. I'm going to execute this one. And it's going to show you, hey, look, all these flows have columns that don't have values. That is bad for us. We need values in here. So how do we put values in these columns? Well, in the, in the case of duration and origin bytes and response bytes, we know that these values are actually there. The problem is that the flows don't have them, right? So for example, in these flows, the duration is 0 because if you look at the state, there are connection attempts, S0, S0, S0. That means that, yeah, the duration is not there, but we know it's 0. So how do we fix these flows? Well, the fix is directly applying a function called, fix NA, fill NA with zeros. So when you execute this one, we are going to replace the missing values with zeros. More of this that we need for actually the interpretation. The final one we are going to be doing is changing categorical variables into one-hot encoding. A one-hot encoding is a way to changing a categorical variable like a tree, dog, into actual numbers. How we do that? Imagine we have like animals, right? So I want to change this dog, cat, dog, fish into a number. Instead of putting the number 3 to dog and the number 2 to cat, I'm going to create one column per one of the categories, and I'm going to just put a 1 when the category is there. So doing a one-hot encoding means adding columns with only ones and zeros when the category is there or not. this is extremely good for machine learning. So we are going to be, we are going to see which are the unique protocols. We have UDP, TCP, and ICMP. We can see how many unique states we have here. We have some unique states. And now we are going to play the getDummy function. getDummy is the one that creates the one-hot encoding. And you can see here how the one-hot encoding was actually created. See? Const state, false, 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 true, true, true. See? And now we are finally ready to start training a clustering algorithm. To go into a clustering algorithm, remember, cluster is an unsupervised technique that we are going to see the structure of the data, finding patterns automatically without labels, and we want to see if we can pinpoint the command and control channels automatically. First, we need to convert the pandas data frame back into a matrix of only numbers, because a lot of the techniques do not know how to deal with the pandas data frame. That is done by creating now a new matrix called capital X with the values of the pandas data frame. And when you do X shape, it's going to tell us how many flows we have in this matrix. So now we have a matrix with 7,000 flows and 22 columns. Okay? Was it clear? If you actually print X, you will see that this is a bunch of numbers. This is perfect now for our machine learning. The last step before going into clustering is what we call scaling. Scaling is the problem of how to transform numbers that go from 1 to 1,000 and other column goes from 1 to 10. They have different scales, and this is very bad for machine learning. So the standard operation is convert every column into similar shape. The scaler we are going to be using is called standard scaling. And in standard scaling, we are going to be taking each column value, we are going to be taking out the mean of that column and divided by the variance. That means that every distribution of the columns is going to be in the same scale. And that's what we want for machine learning. All of that we just do by pressing enter and standard scalar fit. Now we have the data that is scaled, and we can go into clustering. For clustering, the main operation you need is a distance function. You are going to have different points, and the first thing you need is a way to measure distance between these points anyway. If you have a way of measuring distance between points, now we can start grouping them together. Like, for example, the Euclidean distance that you see there. One of the methods we are going to be using, we have many, like k-means, hierarchical clustering, DBSCAN, and others, but once you apply, you will have something like this, like separated in cluster your data. So the one we are going to be using is called DBSCAN. DBSCAN is a density-based method. That means, like if you follow the figure, like all the points that are closer together in this distance, they are more dense. And DBSCAN is grouping, clustering together all the points that are closer than a measure that you will give. Also, you have these points here called the B points. So, and also you have the points that outside, like nobody's close to these ones. So we are going to be using this technique now to find the patterns in our data. Reference for you there. So how to use DBSCAN? Very simple. There is a function called DBSCAN. And you have two parameters. First parameter, the epsilon or EPS, is the maximum distance between two samples that you want. And the mean samples is the number of samples in the neighborhood of a point to be considered as a core point, the red ones here. So you need to define these two parameters, and then you just execute DBSCAN, and you have a clustering. Now we are going to jump the to-do due to time, and the one we are going to be using is EPS of 5, and mean samples of 20. So if you open the answer and you execute it, now we are going to be running the machine learning algorithm dbscan. It was very fast, and we have finally clusters in the clustering variable. So if you want to see the labels in these clusters for the first 100 points, you can do your clustering variable that was just out of dbscan. Then you have a column called labels, and then you just ask for the first 100 points. And then you will see that each point has a cluster ID. Cluster 0, 0, 0, cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 0, 0, 0, okay? Now, if you want to know how many clusters are in dbscan, you can also do the unique values in dbscan. So if you execute this one, you will see we have 5 clusters, okay? Clear here? Now, how do we see this cluster? Awesome, we have clusters. Can we see this? Well, visualizing cluster is not super easy, but we are going to be using a technique called UMAP, and UMAP is extremely good. UMAP is a technique where you have points, like these ones here, and then UMAP is creating a graphical representation of this data set, respecting the topological characteristics of the structure of points. And once this topology is created, UMAP allows for the transformation into lower dimensions. We have 22 columns, but we are going to reduce this to only 2. When we have 2, then we can plot them, okay? So how do we do that? UMAP, we have 2 variables to play with. The first one is the number of neighborhoods that we want to be here, actually to constrain the size of what UMAP gets together. And the second one, the minimum distance, is how tightly UMAP wants these points to be together. Okay? Questions? Now, let's make it happen. So we are going to just call the variable UMAP, and we are going to execute UMAP with neighbors. If you open the answer directly, neighbors is 30, and the minimum distance is 0, 1. Once we have this reducer, this is the model, we are going to fit the model using our scale data. And then we are going to be printing the shape. So if you run this, now the algorithm is taking all the data, creating a model of 30 neighborhoods and 0, 1 minimal distance, going through this, and fitting the model. Fitting is training the model, using the data to actually find the topology, change the topology, move the topology, cut, and allow us to have an embedding space that we can plot. And I'm going to let this finish. It's going to take less than a minute. Once we have the UMAP, UMAP is a model, is a variable with things. We want to plot it, and we can plot this no problem. To plot it, we are going to use, I don't expect you to understand this code, but this code is taking the real labels of the flows, assigning a color, black when there is no label, red for the command and control, blue for the horizontal port scan, and it's going to create a figure with the UMAP representation of the data. And that is your UMAP representation. This is all your data set with colors per label. Do you see that? Do you have it? Do you see what is your command and control? The red one is the command and control. So all of these, the black is no label, the blue is the horizontal port scan, and here you have your command and control. So this is not clustering yet. Remember, we did the clustering, but we didn't see the cluster yet. Now we took the data, and we create a visual representation of the data. What we need to do now is combine the visual representation of the data UMAP with the cluster we created. And this is what we are going to do here. We are going to get the same representation as before, but now the colors are going to be the clusters we found before. Literally, we are going flow by flow, taking the cluster assigned by the vScan, going to the projection of UMAP, and putting a color in those points. So if you execute this one here, you will see 5 colors. Each of these colors is for a cluster on the vScan. So what do you think? Was the vScan a good clustering or a bad clustering? You have the UMAP. You can remember up, if you want, what was the real labels of UMAP. Those are the real labels. And now are the colors of the clusters. Do you like the clustering or not? And the answer is yes, because we have here blue, which is very close to the command and control we saw before. So we can analyze these clusters, like we can count all the labels that are detailed. But the most important one for you is actually the checking of the cluster num-1. If you do the analysis of the cluster number 1, so you go to your flow, clustering labels number 1, group by detail label, you will see that in the cluster number -1, we have only 16 flows. 8 are the command and control, and 4 are a horizontal port scan. This is telling you that this cluster -1 here, the blue one, got all the command and controls and some of the horizontal port scan there. And the cluster -1 in the vScan is actually what we call the anomalous cluster. It means the vScan was able to group all the rest together and was not sure what to do with this cluster. Okay? I'm going to stop here with machine learning because that's all we are going to be doing. There is a little bit more things for you to do here, so you can go and change the clustering and change the UMAP and see the modifications. So be sure that this works for you. You're going to be needing later. But this is actually a not bad clustering algorithm for automatically finding command and control flows in your traffic. Now you have a cluster that identifies all the command and control flows directly. Was it clear? Questions? No? Sure? Now, we don't have a lot of time, but I want... Yes. Before going to the last part of the class, so you can see a tool doing this in real life, it's not going to be long. I will give you a moment for questions, but I'm going to show the online password for the online people, okay? So while you're thinking your question, I'm going to not say that it's not, is, maybe is not, the password is not here. Root. No, the password is marionette. The password is admin. Ready? Okay. Questions about the machine learning Colab we were using? Was it hard, people? Yes? No? Super easy? I highly suggest you go and get better at this, because a lot of the machine learning techniques used in the industry go this way, different algorithms, and you're going to be needing especially the visualizations, right? So get comfortable with the data analysis, data cleaning, and running some algorithms, checking what's going on, and see how this can detect your traffic. Sure, no questions? Okay. Let's jump into the last part, that is the sleep intrusion detection systems. We are going to be executing an intrusion detection system that is based on behavior, inside also having some machine learning algorithms. The sleep intrusion detection system is one of the tools we created in the laboratory many years ago, more than 10 years ago. And it was the first machine learning-based free software tool in the market, let's say. At the moment, nobody was doing a free software tool with real models. So the difference between Sleeps and others is that Sleeps incorporates a lot of different traffic in pickups, interface, Zeek, and others, but is creating a profile per computer. Each computer in the network, like we saw before in the Wireshark at the beginning, is creating a profile of each IP and then analyzing the behavior of each IP in the network. And the behavior is based in 24 different modules. The modules in Sleeps are crazy. We have so many. We have some traditional detection of SSH brute force to detector of leaked data in your traffic, for information about the IP that you are doing, analyzing the HTTP. We have analyzing of ARP, automatic blocking in the Linux firewall, detection on command and control channels. We have so many things in here. I just want to tell you that in Sleeps, also we have the first peer-to-peer communication protocol between intrusion detection systems. So when you start Sleeps, the Sleeps find each other automatically, and they start sharing data about the detections in your local network. So you can deploy many of these sensors, and they start sharing and being better together because they are doing this. So I suggest, if you like, go and check the models. We are going to be executing Sleeps directly. If you want to know how to install Sleeps, you can actually follow these instructions. It's already installed for you, so you don't have to do this, both on the internet and here at Cheveute. So if we go to the part of the execution, please log in to your class 11 in SCL and stay, I think I'm already there, yes, in my SCL, and stay inside your Docker in your Dockers. And now, what we are doing is getting into the folder Stratosphere Linux IPS, that's Sleeps. So please go there. Activate your Python environment. Execute the help just to check that everything works, sleeps py-h. You should see something like that. And now, we are going to be doing two modifications. The first one is changing the configuration file to modify the sensitivity of Sleeps, because by default, Sleeps is coming with a much higher threshold. So we are going to tell Sleeps to be a little bit more sensitive with this seed command. And also, we are going to be disabling some of the modules, because some modules need a GPU and TensorFlow, and you don't have TensorFlow in your Docker, so this is not going to work. So we just disable some modules. And now you can run Sleep directly with this command, sleeps.py, read the file data training capture 009. So if you run Sleeps like this, you will see that it's, oh, let me go back a little bit. That was quite fast. It's going to start all the processes, and every module, ARP, flow alerts, flow alerts, machine learning detection, analyzer, and others. And some modules are disconnected. And then it's going to be analyzing all the traffic, see, 14 IPs, 13 IPs, 43 IPs, gathering evidence. And when you have enough evidence, it's going to suggest directly to detect some of your IPs as malicious. So this one is saying, hey, the IP address 130 was detected as malicious in this time window number 1. That is the first hour. because of all these things. Unencrypted HTTP traffic, suspicious user agent, unencrypted traffic to here, unencrypted traffic to here, suspicious, 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 and others. So Sleeps is analyzing the behavior of each IP exactly like we did at the beginning in Wireshark, and is taking these behaviors to gather evidence. And the evidence is, hey, you are not encrypted. It's enough to stop you because you are not encrypted? No, of course not. But then you are connecting to a weird port. Then you are sending something to an IP that maybe is blacklisted. Then. So it's gathering evidence, and the more evidence you have, the more you are going to be candidate for being blocked. So if you let it run, Sleeps eventually will do all the detections, and at the end, you should see that stopping. There you go. And you should feel free also to stop it if you want. Now, if you stop it with Control-C, what you can see are directly the logs. And the logs are stored in the output folder. So when you are here in your folder, you can get, I will scroll down here, you can get inside the output folder, in this folder created today, and check a file called alerts log. That's where all the alerts are. And in here, you will go one by one, checking how Sleeps is detecting everything in your computer. Detection, a connection to a private IP, weird user agents, HTTP traffic, and more and more and more, okay? You can go down, including long connections, right? Connections that are too long. So, I'm gonna stop here. We are already out of time. We have some extra there for you. You can go and try many times Sleeps in any pickup you want. You can check the code. You can go and collaborate, no problem, okay? So before going to the assignment and ending of the class, questions for today? Sleeps. Sorry, the Sleeps part was a little bit fast. I wanted to spend more time in the machine learning. Nothing? You sure? Assignment is coming, bonus is coming, no questions?
All right, penultimate assignment of the class. So this one and one more and you're done.
Oh, no.
Nice. Well, there's bonus, and I mean, even if you pass the class, you can come to the exam if there are free slots, you know, if you want to improve your grade or just have fun. Okay, so tonight or today or for this assignment, you are going to be security analysts. It's a two-parter. Basically, first part, you will get a pickup file and you will have to analyze some stuff, and we have some questions for you in CTFD, and you will answer those questions based on what you see in the pickup file. It won't be flags, but literally you will have to find some stuff and then answer questions there. And part two is related to the machine learning part, what we just did in Colab, that you will see there. Basically, you will need that Colab that we used in the class. You will have to modify something slightly there, and then again answer one question in CTFD. It's not too difficult, but it's not too difficult, just try to go slightly through it and you will see what you need to do. We try to explain it as much as possible in the CTFD assignment. But yeah. Any questions? Yeah, and it's total 5 points, so.
Questions?
Deadline again by the end of the semester.
Deadline end of the semester. No questions on assignment. Bonus is gonna open. Somebody was asking about the feedback of the unlock bonus. We are doing our best. Usually when we end up the correction, the grading, we tell you in element. Maybe I missed some, so I'm gonna go back and check if we tell everybody. If you don't have a feedback by the deadline, tell us, we will tell you, okay? Thank you very much, people. Remember the feedback, internet, thank you very much, wherever you are preparing for the Christmas. And see you next time. García, Internet. And thank you for the postcards. Thank you for the postcards.